Thanks for joining me for 5 to 7 minutes as we continue our devotions through fear. What is fear and how do we fear not? All right, we're going to be in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6 this morning. So if you want to get your copy of God's Word or find it on YouVersion or Bible Gateway, you can have a few seconds to find that as I set this up. Remember, fear is found 365 times in the Bible. Sometimes it's found as fear not, or sometimes it's found as do not be afraid. Fear is spoken of over 500 times. Some of those times it talks about the fear of the Lord, which means respect or awe of God. But for our study this morning, we want to look at fear as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something dangerous is likely to cause us pain or cause a threat to us. So we're in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Let me ask you a question. During the beginnings of the pandemic back in February, March, and even into April, there wasn't too much to watch on TV. So they were replaying baseball games, basketball games, and football games that were anywhere from 2 years old to 10, 12, 15, maybe even 20 years old Super Bowl games. And at the beginning of the quarantine time, it was so boring that I would watch those games. But you know what I did? I ended up Googling who won the game. And so I'd watch the game, but it really didn't matter, first of all, because it was 10 years in the past. Second of all, it's because I knew who won. And it really took the angst out of watching the game. I don't know about you, but sometimes I enjoy watching the game because I know the outcome. So I don't get really excited when my team gets ahead, or I really don't get upset if my team gets behind. What are some of the drawbacks and benefits you have of watching a game that's pre recorded or that you know the outcome for? As we think about that, I want to roll into Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6, as we think about this idea of fear. Deuteronomy 31, 6 says, "Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you, he will not forsake you." What's going on here? Well, Moses has commissioned Joshua to replace him as the leader of Israel. Moses is not able to go into the promised land, so he has to commission Joshua to do that. Now, Moses, this is his final farewell address to Israelites, and he told the Israelites that God's going to go before them, God's going to go with them, and then God's going to go after them. He tells them, you're going to go in and you're going to destroy the nations that are there, and you're going to inherit the land that God has given you. Moses is reminding them of God's provision and the military wins that they're going to do before they even cross over. Moses reminds the Israelites that you need to follow the commands of the Lord. As I sit back and think about this, the Israelites were standing on one side and they're getting ready to cross into an unknown land with an unknown people, with unknown battles. And here comes Joshua replacing Moses, the mighty loved Moses, the man that met God, that heard from God, that was able to do all these miraculous things for Israelites. And here comes Joshua standing here going, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. But I see Moses looking at Joshua going, hey, don't forget. You already know you already know what's going to happen. You already know who's going to win. You already know how the war is going to be won. Sometimes you just got to get through the battle. And as I think back to my illustration about watching a pre-recorded football game where I know the end game, I don't get nearly upset. Whether my team fumbles or my team goes down by 7 runs or my basketball team is down by 30 and they end up winning by 5. I know that the end game is there. I know what the end score is. Joshua was told, hey, the good Lord, he's going to win. As Israelites march into the land, they saw their enemies, they saw the size that they were, but they were not to lose heart. How does this apply to us today? Well, we, as believers, those that believe in the life, death, and resurrection of Christ, those that believe that Jesus came to took our place, we often, and we sometimes, not often, we sometimes look at our landscape, we look at what's going on in the world, and we begin to lose heart. We lose focus on the fact that we know who wins. John chapter 16, verse 33, Jesus says that we would have trials, we would have trouble, but we are not to become discouraged. Jesus has overcome the world. Let me go back to this illustration again. When we have times that we watch our football game and there's turnovers or there's errors and we get upset, don't worry about that. Our team wins. Jesus has fought the battle and he's won the war. It's finished. We know that Jesus is going to win. We know the final outcome. God wins and Jesus is victorious. However, sometimes we get caught up in the moments of life. We get caught up and we forget the final outcome. What happens? We lose our our eternal perspective and we look at the earthly perspective. So the question I have written here is, how do I overcome fear? How do I overcome this anxiety that I sometimes have? Well, remember, if you believe in Jesus, you know the end. You know how this all plays out. If you take time to read God's word, you know the outcome. Perhaps when you know the outcome, you won't be so fearful. However, that's easier said than done. So, how do we do this? Well, today let's look back at what Moses told Joshua. I see a grandfather with a younger man saying, all right, this is how you're going to lead. This is what you need to do. Let's look at the example of Moses as he prepares Joshua. Joshua, be courageous. Don't forget, God is with you. Don't be afraid of the enemies. They've been defeated, or God will defeat them. We aren't fighting alone. God is with us. Don't forget, God will never leave you nor forsake you, according to Matthew 28:19 and 20. So, what comfort can you bring as you look over the land and see the giants or see the people you don't know and you have fear? Remember God's faithfulness. Remember the truth of His word. Remind yourself that God is with you. If you are struggling, let me know. I will continue to point you to God's word. I'll take time to pray with you, whether that's over Zoom or Skype, or if it's written, I'll write a prayer that I can minister to you the best way I can. And I will see you on Monday. As always, it's Thursday. We take Friday, Saturday off. We're on church online. If you want to join us online, we're on our church Facebook page, probably about 9:35, 9:40 on Sunday. And if you are in the area and want to come to in-person church, I'll see you at 10:30 this week. It's communion week. So if you are looking for a place to worship, hope you would check us out. And if you have a place that loves Jesus and preaches him and celebrates him, hope you have a great weekend of worship. And I will see you back here on Monday morning for week 2 of our devotions for Fear Not. Have a great weekend. I'll see you soon.